Hello, Sean and Patrick. Go ahead
So
and
Charlie,
introduce yourselves.
so I'm Sean, and I'm Patrick. We're both, I guess, twin 18-year-old composers, um,
Okay.
based in San Francisco.
All right. Awesome. And we're doing this interview today because, honestly, because I think that people who make music for video and especially for films don't get enough credit. And you guys especially did such an amazing job on this. I feel like it would be crazy for people not to learn a bit more about you. Um, and of course, as I've been really plainly spoken about the whole time, like I'm really hoping that this movie also becomes something where the music you produced helps launch your careers into, really positive trajectory. So just wanted to give you more of a platform. So thanks for agreeing to chat. Um, Let me just start at the beginning. I joined like I was on a composers group for Facebook. I knew that our project had no money, and I made a post about basically who wants to work for free.
Mhm.
And you guys didn't respond to that, but someone else did. And they were like, look, it's going to be really hard to find someone in this short of notice because we had about 3 weeks until the movie premiered, basically. And they're like, you still might find someone, don't give up. And I was like, okay, I'll look one more time. So I was looking through all the different profiles on this Facebook group and I came across yours and I was like, oh, so I checked out your website and I listened to every single thing, every single track on your thing. And then I kept going back to see how young you guys looked. And you guys looked like you were high school age. And I was like listening to the music and trying to match it with your youth. And I was like, how are these guys making this music? Because this sounds like Hollywood style music to me. And so anyway, I wrote to you guys and you were just like, yeah, I think we can do this. So anyway, pick it up from your side. What was your first impression when you got that email from me?
Well, we were at the train station. We were
Oh,
just sitting at a train station. We're like, oh, this looks interesting. So, yeah, we didn't have any plans, and we just kind of looked at it and researched a little bit. And we're like, yeah, it's something that we're interested in for sure. And we went home and tried to go from there. I mean, we definitely knew that 3 weeks was a short amount of time. So that that was something that we were like, okay, it's a challenge. That's good. So I mean, there's two of us, so it's a little easier, but
I hadn't
definitely
thought
something
about that. You're right. It's different than having just one person do it.
yeah.
So tell us about your process. Like, how did you guys first start working together composing music? How and when?
I think it started a couple years ago. I mean, we've been working on the same projects for quite a while, but they've always been really short. And what we used to do for those shorter projects is we kind of come up with our own things. We would kind of let the director, whoever's in charge, choose between them.
Hmm.
We've never really split it up and worked together for one thing instead of two separate. So that was interesting. We just had to do a lot of collaborating on scheduling. Who wants this scene?
Oh,
It was a
I
lot of
I didn't
what.
know that actually that you guys did that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, there's a little whiteboard where we can write stuff down and we can choose between them. Yeah. Another thing we do is we have different styles, right? So if there's a one scene that I feel like I could do better than him or he could do better than me, we'd give that to the other person and we'd specifically work on scenes that we believe we could compose best to. So that's another thing that we split up.
So you guys, I mean, it's just so interesting that you guys have already learned. Well, to actually tell the audience how old you are, because I think that does matter.
We're currently 18. So
Okay.
yeah,
So you're not in college yet, or are you?
no, I'm taking college classes, but we're home
Okay.
for
Okay. I mean, that's the thing that was really interesting. Like I wrote to Frankie, the co-director. Obviously, Frankie, but just for the audience, the co-director's Frankie. And I was like, hey, I found these guys. They say they can do it. They are 18 years old. And she was like, what? What do you mean? was like, no, 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 you got to go listen to their stuff. But I said, like, the reason that I picked you guys was two things. Is, well, obviously it was your music, but it was the poster on the wall behind you, which we'll get to in a second. And then it was your level of professionalism, the way you communicated, and you were really realistic about things. I found in the world of creatives in general, if we want to call it that, that most people who, it's almost like the better someone is at their creative craft, the worse they are at meeting deadlines, communicating honestly and effectively. And right out of the gate, you guys are like, here's what we're about. Here's what we can do. Here's what we can't do. Let's go. And I was just like, I felt like I was writing to like people who'd been in the business for 20 years. It was really interesting. Um, but yeah. And so when I first interviewed you guys, I was like, well, I really have to check this out. I have to make sure, because I remember what my kids were like when they were 18 and they weren't making soundtracks for movies. But you guys, I told you guys that one of my major musical influences was the movie Interstellar and Hans Zimmer. And then you guys poked your finger over your shoulder. So can you tell us about that poster?
Yeah, so this was we were still in middle school. This is the beginning of COVID. We were really bored. Actually, the poster's right there. It's kind of hard to see, but so we were trying to figure out something to do for fun because we were stuck at home all day. And we had iPads. We didn't have phones. We had iPads, and there was this app called GarageBand, and we had a keyboard, and we didn't use that yet, but we would compose stuff separately on the keyboard, and then we'd go, okay, that's good. I record it on my iPad, and then use that for GarageBand. Anyway, we went to this website on Facebook, or this page on Facebook, where there's a whole bunch of composers, and everybody just kind of talks about film music and just asks each other for advice and stuff. So we're like, perfect. And we asked, how do you get started? And I think the second person to reply was Hans Zimmer. And that's what he wrote. He wrote paragraphs of stuff. So got a lot of attention and got a lot of good advice from a lot of different people. So,
Wow.
that's what got us started. And, we're like, okay.
And so what does it generally say in the poster? It's just his advice to you?
It's stuff because we were asking about what computer we should get and what type. So we got a Mac Mini and all that stuff. We got
Logic Pro.
We got Logic Pro,
which is an upgrade from GarageBand. It's basically GarageBand, just more professional.
So you really started in middle school then?
Yeah, but that was more just for fun, and we didn't even consider doing it for like a living or anything, trying to make a career out of it. We were just doing it for the fun of it.
Yeah.
And we're like, Hans Zimmer just replied, so maybe we should take it more seriously now.
That's so great. That's so amazing. I mean, that, as you guys remember in that call, that really blew my mind. I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here? Tell us about your musical background, because it seems like you guys have sort of been around instruments for a while. I see off to your right shoulder some sort of a bit of brass there, maybe. Is that
there's trumpets everywhere. So I play the trumpet. I started in 5th grade. I started also 5th grade violin. I've been playing piano. We've both been playing piano since we're like 5, but we started piano lessons at 5, but we've been playing way before that. And that's actually, we used to just sit down at the piano and just play random things on it.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny. I mean, now that I think about it, I remember we had like piano recitals and stuff, and I mean, there would always be like music that we had to read, right? And we always kind of make it up instead of read it. So we just see like, oh, look, it looks like the notes around that area, so let me place the finger like around a C. So we just basically make up stuff, and everyone's like, that doesn't sound right, but I mean, they laughed because we were little and we're twins, and everyone's like, oh, great job. But anyway, we got better at that.
And so you guys have played in some competitions, and can you talk about that briefly?
As for playing instruments, really the only competitions I've done were like honor bands and trying to get first chair for some orchestras like College of Marin, stuff like that.
Right.
As of composing, I haven't really entered anything, but I know Sean has.
I've entered a few. I've done let's see. There's a Marvin Hamlish one, which is like an international film competition. They give you like I think it was about 12 minutes, something like that, film, no audio, no nothing. So there's not even sound effects or dialogue. They're like, okay, write music to it. You have this amount of time. And yeah, I mean, it was difficult, but it's good experience to gain. I ended up being nominated. I didn't win it, but I got top 5 for it. So that's something I'm proud of.
Very awesome. Okay. So let's talk about what it was like to compose for this movie. So starting from the beginning, after I said, okay, go. And then we said, okay, we'll have, like we'll meet every 3 or 4 days when there's stuff to listen to. From the moment you started, how did you find the material to work with?
Well, so the first thing you do when you get a new film or a new documentary is you go through the whole thing, or as much as you have, or as much as you can get your hands on, and you kind of plan from there. You don't start writing because then you don't, you don't know when to stop. I just keep going. So we have to stop, take a look at it, schedule things, and that's when Sean and I would go, okay, you do this part, I'll do this part, and then we can go from there.
The shooting scene too.
Yes, and once we're done with that, then we would come up with a theme. By that I mean like the main title, and I think we have a couple of things posted on that. So we would do that, and then we would make little variations on it, and we each made our own. And then that's when we would have a meeting with you and say, hey, do you like this theme? Can it get approved? We actually got advice because Facebook is helpful. So we went back to Facebook and we asked for help, and someone named Lauren Hall replied, and he was like, yeah, the first thing is to get your themes approved. Then you can start writing for the film, and then you can make variations on that and go forward from there.
I wasn't gonna bring up his name, but since you brought it up, could you tell the audience like how interesting it is that Lauren Balfe wrote to you on Facebook? Like, so who is he?
He's a film composer. He worked on movies such as what is Mission Impossible.
He's not just a film composer. He's a pretty good film composer. So
yes. So I think he's worked with Hans Zimmer a couple times.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so interesting. I mean, you guys are it's just interesting the people that you've connected with only by the age of 18. I know it's really interesting to hear about your process. So once you started getting into it though, was there ever a moment where you were like, oh God, 3 weeks, this isn't going to happen?
So there was one moment, and the span of that moment was 3 weeks. Yes. So the whole time I was thinking it. I think for me,
finally the truth comes out. Yeah. That's great.
For me, I think it was more stressful if I wasn't working on it. If I was doing something, I just told myself, you don't have time to think about it. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
It's that time when I'm just sitting there, or if I'm eating and I'm just kind of sitting there thinking about it, I'm like, I need to go back and compose some more.
Yeah. I describe making as just having this, like once I've accepted a project, even for a small short video, it just exists like this cloud over my head and it will not go away. Just like you're saying, I'll be eating dinner, I'll be hanging out with a friend, no matter what. In the back of my mind, I'm like, it isn't finished and I have to get back to work. And I'm not relieved. The cloud does not go away until the final export, and then I can finally breathe again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then it's exciting. Oh, I get to hear my music. Yeah. Finally, for the first time, I get to watch it all the way through.
I know. I mean, for me, like one of the biggest things that was stressful was that the longest project that I have done was probably about 20 minutes, maybe like 25 minutes, something like that. Yeah. And this one was like an hour and 20 something minutes, right?
An hour and 20 minutes. Yeah. Like 39 seconds. Yep.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And for the 20-minute project, I had a couple months to write it, and this one I had 3 weeks, and I was like, okay. I mean, I have my brother help me with that, but
yeah,
it was definitely something I thought about the entire day.
I mean, for people that will watch this interview, which they'll see this before they get to see the movie, because this interview will come out in the next week or so. The date today is, I have to look at my phone. It's November 20th. So it's still 6 weeks at least, probably 8 weeks till the movie comes out in the middle of January on YouTube. And then of course it'll be seen in other theaters and stuff. But it's had 7 screenings as of tonight in South Africa. But even just the first versions, like even just when Frankie and I were listening to your music samples, Frankie had a hard time not crying. And then when she wasn't on the screen with us listening and she was listening privately, she was crying. I had a hard time not crying. Normally my reaction is to laugh maniacally out loud because I'm overexcited. But I mean, just the way you guys nailed it and the music just gave life to the movie in a way that I never could have imagined. I mean, you guys have some serious talent going on. And again, I wish I had it captured on video, but someone was live streaming from the last 10 minutes of the movie at one of the screenings. And so I heard someone in the audience talking about how gorgeous the music was. And they're just like, the music, it's so gorgeous. So hopefully you guys will get to see some of that if we end up at some of the same screenings. Have you guys had a chance to watch the whole thing yet? I mean, obviously you have access to all the stuff there, but I just realized I haven't sent you the private link, have I?
No, I'm not sure. Not yet.
Can't believe I didn't.
Oh, we're gonna watch it on the big screen. We're gonna wait until then.
If I were you, I'd wait to see it on the big screen also.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. There's so many people that have watched the entire thing all the way through, like the final version. I mean, we don't know what people are watching because we haven't seen the whole thing all the way through, all edited. So that'll be pretty fun on
I've only watched it all the way through once, actually, myself. Yeah, I tend to not like I want to wait to see it in a theater also. So I'm kind of waiting. Do you guys have, this will be kind of spoilers, but it's okay just to do some small Easter eggs from each of you. What part musically did you enjoy doing the most? Go one at a time.
You want to take this one? Sure, yeah, I can go first. So for me, it was the scene near the end, like the last bit, like the long
positivity
positivity montage. Yeah, that was really fun for me to write because I already did all the hard work of writing themes and stuff throughout the first hour and however many minutes that is, and now it was just my time to mash it all together and just basically write fun music for myself.
Okay, I didn't know who did what, but that when that music comes and lifts up, I won't give any more spoilers except the music lifts at the positivity montage. I won't say what the footage is of, but wow, that gets me every time because the narrator for the movie, Samantha, she's the one at each screening who always turns on her phone for the last 10 minutes and live streams it to me so I can see the crowd's reaction. And every time the montage starts and that music comes in, I'm just like, how did they get that? Like, it's such a mystery to me, like how you looked at the footage and then that's what you heard in your mind. And then you somehow created it. And it's just so good. I can't wait for more people to see it. So that's really great. And what about you? What's your favorite part?
I think if we're doing scenes, I'm gonna say the very first scene because that's when you kind of get to start creating, and that's when you get all of your ideas and kind of the style down. You already have the theme written down, but you start to get all your instruments and instrumentation and all of the rhythms and kind of second melodies that you wouldn't have come up with at the beginning. So
absolutely. Yeah. And that reminds me, I definitely need to link the trailer in the description for this video so people can go and listen to the music in the trailer because the music makes the trailer, which is the opener sequence for those that don't know yet. The trailer is the actual first, 3.5 minutes of the movie or so. So, and I was really relieved that I didn't have to make a separate sizzle reel trailer. It was so convenient to just take the opener and just plop that out as a trailer. Okay, here we go. Trying to think. Talk briefly about the company you're starting to put together. And then there's one other thing I want to make sure I don't forget. I'll say it now so I don't. And then I'd like to circle back to the soundtrack that you're working on. So tell us about your company.
So it's just kind of a two-person thing right now. We're just advertising and trying to get some projects and trying to get experience that way. Yeah, pretty big on Facebook. I mean, kind of have an Instagram going, but
What's your
website.
company name?
Oh, it's Twin Score Studios.
Got it.
Yeah, and we're thinking about changing it to Sean and Patrick Carnahan.
I love the name Twin Score, but
Twin Score.
the other one would work too. Who's the CEO?
It's kind of like a two-person thing. Yeah, two-person thing.
Okay.
You know, if I'm in charge of him, he won't hear the end of it. Same as he's in charge of me, so we just split power that way.
Awesome. I will mention for people that don't know any history of this movie, something that hasn't been mentioned yet is you guys did all this completely for free. It was all volunteer thing. I think I might have mentioned that earlier, but I'll leave this in. But yeah, everyone associated with the movie was by donation. You guys are no exception, which also makes the work even more interesting to me. Okay, so you're running Twin Score. You might change the name. You guys are actually open for business, right? Like if someone watched this video and I have the link in the description, they can actually click through and send you an email. What kind of things would you guys like? What are your dream projects? Who would you like to get an email from next?
Well, I mean, since we're just starting, pretty much anyone's welcome to email us, and
Trying to get our names out there.
Yeah, just gain experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to be paid next time?
I mean, depends on the project. For me, it's not really about money. It's more about, getting your name out there, experience, and collaborations and that type of thing. And basically, if we can have fun, it's more important than the money. So
Great. Let's see. So one of the things. Okay, yeah. Tell me about the soundtrack project.
So currently what we're doing, since we finished the film and that's off, we're going back to some of the main themes and kind of redoing them, because there's a couple things that I would have loved to change about them, or some things that the film, changes scenes, and I'm like, well, I want to keep this going, so we kind of go back and rewrite some themes or add on to them. And we're planning to create a little playlist on YouTube. We're still thinking about doing CDs, but that would require a little bit more music than what we're currently doing.
Yeah.
But we're definitely going to do a playlist on YouTube and probably on our website.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, get that to you.
So you'll have like on SoundCloud and stuff too, probably, or?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Probably. We don't really use SoundCloud, but that's always something to consider.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling you guys, like, it would be so cool if at screenings, if it does go international and there's lots of screenings and stuff, it'd be really great to have like links to where people could download it, or a little stack of CDs for the merch table or something. But yeah, I love the theme. I would love to have access to longer extended versions of the music that I could just like play while I'm driving down the road. As you know, and I definitely secretly hope Hans Zimmer sees this video. Like when I was editing, constantly my companion was the Interstellar soundtrack by Hans Zimmer, just over and over again. And when I work on future projects, I would love to be able to listen to your music and Interstellar, just make them just flip flop and just keep.
We are not worthy.
But yeah, it's just such good music. And again, just to recap, like I'm definitely, like getting behind your statement. Like there's so many things, of course, that we all wished we had more time, to flesh out. Frankie and I called it building the car while we're driving it. That was the name of the game for this whole movie. Like, oh, we have no funding. Okay, what do we do? Okay, let's just try to still make this movie. And instead of making it over the course of a year in our free time, let's just give up everything, don't take any paid work, and just knock it out between now and November 7th. So we started pretty much around June 1st. No editing happened until that point. And then you guys came on board, and then you had 3 weeks. And the whole movie is basically just like so many things where I was just like, I really want to perfect this, but we have to move on. But yet somehow you know, between all those editing decisions and then your composing decisions and everything, it turned out to be a movie that people just really enjoy, and people cry at the screenings, and they're deeply moved to appreciate sharks more and to get the nets out of the water. And, you know, without your music, it would not have had that impact. So, um, the original thing, do you guys remember what I asked for in terms of like what I said, I want the music to be this in the movie? Do you remember what that main request was?
I think it was you want it to be kind of different from every other documentary. You don't want it to be like scary, Jaws, that kind of thing. You
Yeah.
wanted it to be more,
Yeah.
yeah, more
That's
basically just give sharks a new
right.
musical sound.
That's you know what? That's not even what I was thinking about when you
Oh
said.
yeah.
But yes, we should really talk about that really quickly. Yeah. So, how hard was that for you to do that, to create a different musical identity for sharks?
Um, I mean, it wasn't that difficult. I think it was just something that I had a lot of fun with.
Yeah.
And Sean had a lot of fun doing that too. We kind of sat together and figured that out. And kind of talked about, should it be playful? Should it be just happy? Like, what words would we want to use to describe the
Yeah.
shark? What type of words would we want in the music? And we definitely used that for, what's that guy's name? We used it for that one scene where he's like playing with the sharks.
Andre.
Yeah.
Andre Hartman. He was at the screening tonight. That's if you
Really?
my Instagram, you can see the pictures of Andre. Yeah, Shark Lady Kim and Andre and Frankie are all in a photo together. It's amazing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, the loaded question I threw your way was that I wanted it to be a character. Like, that's what I love about Interstellar, is just that I felt like the music was actually a character in the movie. And so that was my big challenge to you guys, was, can you make it that? And you definitely did. So, um, is there anything else you guys would like to add? I think I'm out of questions and I don't want to take up too much of your day. And I want to make sure that people with short attention spans watch the whole thing. So,
I mean, not much to add, but I mean, we had fun. It was a great experience. We definitely learned a lot. It's definitely been great. Just, it's not only the people who we just talked about. There's a lot of other people who have given us advice, and we have friends who helped us out, and given us suggestions and stuff on how to, you know, schedule your time, how to just keep going when you feel like you need to just stay in one spot and perfect it. You know, just move on. That was me. Here, I'm just gonna say this now. He wrote a lot more music than I did, because for me, I stick on one little spot and I have to get it somewhat perfect before I allow myself to move on. I mean, I've gotten a little bit past that now, but it's funny. He'd just be like, "You're supposed to do this spot," so he just end up writing a thing that I was supposed to do. But we ended up doing all right.
that's a really good strategy. I use that on the timeline when I'm editing all the time. I learned early on, like, if I don't move forward and I just stay here to get this spot perfected, then I just end up using up all my energy there, and I need to move past it. So that's pretty cool. You guys have figured that out.
That's a big thing, not getting burnt out. And because I think for me, if I'm not working on that project, I just like to compose all day, and I don't stop. And then I get burnt out, and the next day I'm like, I can't do it anymore. It was really interesting to try to just write all day every day and not take a day or two off, which is what I'm used to doing after maybe a full day's worth of composing. So that was really interesting. And it I just kept going, and it actually turned out pretty good. I came up with some good ideas, and I think we worked well together with Sean not also getting burnt out. That was a challenge, but it was something that we learned a lot from. So
awesome. Well, all right, guys. I think I'm out of questions, and I'm just really excited for so many more people to hear this movie. Yeah, I mean, I literally said, I didn't say watch, I actually said hear the movie.
I noticed that.
So excited for people to hear your music in this movie, and I can't wait for the soundtrack. And just thank you guys for everything. Such a big thanks.